Hi, my name is Candace Sanders, and welcome to my presentation on Black women's resistance and contributions. Black women in the United States have long had to exercise resistance to combat the systematic oppression they face. This dates back to slavery, where Black women faced severe violence and oppression and had to challenge their enslavement on a day-to-day basis. Enslaved women had to be inventive and find opportunities to resist slavery as they presented themselves. Some forms of resistance they developed were clumsy behavior, in which they would break tools or equipment and not so accidentally start fires. They would organize work slowdowns or perform work carelessly, and this would give enslaved people a sense of self-determination, autonomy, and independence. Women who worked in plantation houses, especially in the mammy role, were able to poison white families through the food they cooked, and they relied on knowledge of dangerous roots and plants within their own community to do so. And an unfortunate alternative of resistance was suicide, in which slaves would take their own life. Reproduction was a very important component of resistance during this era. Enslaved women knew their value to slave owners, given their ability to bear children and increase the slave population. But they also understood the life their children would have to endure, the separation that would occur, and if they had daughters, the sexual violence they would experience. As an extreme and risky form of resistance, enslaved women would take the lives of their children. Enslaved women would also utilize their knowledge of plants and medicine to induce abortions. For example, women on cotton plantations would chew cotton roots to prevent or end pregnancy. Women would also use pregnancy to deceive plantation owners so they would lessen their workload. All of these forms of resistance provided enslaved women empowerment and control over their bodies. Modern resistance for Black women continues on the work that pioneers such as Shirley Chisholm, Sojourner Truth, Rosa Parks, and many more have started. Black women now, more than ever, have utilized various platforms to speak out against the intersecting oppressions Black women face in society. With the continuing formation of organizations and movements, and the calling out of racist, discriminatory behavior from government, law enforcement, companies, and individuals, Black women have entered an era of intolerance which feeds their resistance. Black women have also made strides within education and professional sectors to step into executive positions that help ensure diverse and inclusive practices within the workplace. Much of this framework is due to the contributions of influential Black women. Let's talk about a very special one. Mary Church Terrell was a prominent figure in the women's suffrage movement and a pioneer for the civil rights movement. She was one of the first Black women to obtain a college degree. Not only did she earn her bachelor's at Oberlin College, but a master's in education as well. In 1895, Mary made history as the first Black woman appointed president of Washington's Board of Education. Her work with the National Association for Colored Women addressed issues of job training, equal pay, and educational opportunity for African Americans. She later went on to co-found one of the most recognized organizations for persons of color, the NAACP. Mary's work focused on the notion of racial uplift, the belief that Blacks would help end racial discrimination by advancing themselves and other members of the race through education, work, and community activism. She paved the way for future activists, leaders, and organizations to carry the torch and continue to fight for equality and the advancement of people of color. We honor women like Mary Church Terrell for their invaluable contributions to our society. Thank you for listening to my presentation today on Black women's resistance and contributions.